This meeting, County, Cities, and Towns, Subcommittee number 3 will come to order. We'll go at ease. This meeting of County, Cities, and Towns, Subcommittee number 3 will come to order. We have but so much time this morning before we go to the floor, so we're going to move fast and promptly. What we're going to do is there's a lot of folks to speak to, a lot of bills this morning, so there's going to be 5 minutes per side, both in person and online. So if you can coordinate and talk to some folks, if you are speaking for or against the same issue, please keep the brief, because brevity is going to be key, as I said. What we're going to do is start with some admin business. First on the docket, we have House Bill 708. That's Delegate Thomas. We were going to move to strike the bill. And do I have a motion?
Move. So moved.
We have a move and a property second. That is a recorded vote. So actually, we're going to take roll first. Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? Thank you. All right, so we have a motion and a proper second to strike House Bill 708. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? Vote of 5-0, we have stricken House Bill 708 from the docket. We will next take up Delegate Rasul's bill, House Bill 181. Delegate Rasul.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the subcommittee, House Bill 181 before you looks to expand the ADU program. First, Mr. Chairman, I would ask the subcommittee to adopt the amendment in nature of a substitute, or to consider an amendment in nature of substitute.
Move the amendment. Second.
All right. I believe that is all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The amendment in nature of substitute is in front of us, so I believe it is online. Delegate, can you please explain?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What this Bill 181 originally was to add Roanoke City into the list of localities that could provide an affordable dwelling unit program. What we're doing here is two things: adding a reenactment clause, and then also asking the Virginia Housing and Development Authority to analyze the potential efficacy of the provisions of this in anticipation of trying to ensure that for Roanoke City that this would in fact be beneficial as we move forward, and then bring back their final decision next year, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any questions from the committee? And please use your yellow speak button. I do not see any. Anybody in the room that's in favor of the bill, please come forward. Again, there are 5 minutes per side. We'll have people that are in favor first. Seeing none, is there anyone opposed in the room? All right. Is there anyone online? Don't believe so.
Move to report as substituted, Mr. Chair.
All right, there's a report. There's a motion to report with substitute with the proper second. Can you please open the roll, Madam Clerk? Can you please close the roll? With the vote of 5-0, Delegate Rasul's House Bill 181 reports with substitute.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee.
All right. Don't believe I see. I do see Delegate Clark. Can you please come forward?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. It's my pleasure to bring back a bill growing in popularity. The anti-rent gouging bill, HB 278, is a common sense solution that would empower local governments to protect their renters from abusive rent increases, prevent displacement, and preserve affordable housing, all while encouraging new supply and protecting responsible landlords and tenants. I've been working on this bill since I was elected 5 years ago, and everyone's talk about affordability now, but how can we talk about affordability without talking about rent stability? Housing is almost every family's biggest cost. This bill gets to the heart of the affordability crisis and responds to the moment of unprecedented instability. We need to act now. Federal cuts to subsidize housing, food stamps, and Medicaid drives up key costs and reduce income for families across the state. If you don't have a roof over your head, you can't focus on schoolwork, keep a good job, or put food on your table. But when renters, who are a third of all Virginians, have a stable housing, our whole community thrives. All of Virginia needs this bill. My constituents needs this bill. For me, this bill is personal. I'm proud to say that I am a renter. And I'm sorry to share that I experienced rent gouging myself. Just last year, my rent increased 10%, while my apartment had black mold, faulty wiring, and no retention pond, which created more environmental problems. My rent increased by over $200 in 1 year, and my apartment complex was only 3 years old. In a moment, you will hear from the opposition the same points we've heard each year, points we've worked hard to address. It's always important to meet with all stakeholders, as I have, but it's also important to be clear about what stakes as different parties might have in this fight. For renters, working class families, and local government, what's at stake is our access to shelter. For the landlord lobby, they have a stake in maintaining the status quo because right now there's no limit to how much they can increase their profits. Still, we have to take seriously the concerns of all stakeholders and advocates, and I've asked them every year if there's any changes that would make this a better solution. We have yet to receive any concrete suggestions or willingness to negotiate. Despite this, we've negotiated against ourselves, conceded major safeguards for landlords. The opposition will claim that protections will reduce housing supply and that the only solution to this affordability crisis is to simply build more housing. The reality is this bill preserves more affordable housing stock than any other solution being proposed. Every time that rent is jacked up, we instantly lose another affordable home. Even more, long-term studies shows that similar legislation has no negative impact on housing production when new construction is exempted, as we've done. Let me be clear, this bill allows builders to continue to build, set the base rent at whatever they'd like, and for the first 10 years of any new unit, the landlord can increase the rent as much as they would like. Look, we don't have to choose between supply and tenant protection. Supply alone won't solve the crisis. Supply and stability must work together to deliver true affordability. The opposition will also claim this hurts landlords and will somehow make living conditions worse. The truth is, after considering the opposition's concern, we introduced a fair rate of return amendment last year that safeguards landlords and actually incentivizes and rewards investments in housing quality. Through the general bill is optional. If a locality chooses to do this, the locality must guarantee landlords a fair return. This bill targets excessive and exploitative profit-taking, not cost recovery and reasonable returns. Aligning rent increases with costs actually encourages landlords to keep homes habitable and make improvements. In Montgomery County, Maryland, which has similar exemptions, they saw in 1 year a 69% decrease in properties with numerous severe housing code violation. The opposition will claim that the market will correct itself. So how's that going so far? When people say what the market can bear, they mean what renters can bear. And when renters can't afford housing, they just end up in the streets. The question is whether we wait and hope increased supply will have cost saving that trickles down decades from now, or will we allow this democratic process to give local governments a tool that they're asking for that they can use right now? The opposition is worried that this bill will be a massive change for Virginia.
Can we bring it to an end?
Yes, sir, I'm wrapping up. The reality is just that this is just enabling legislation. Localities will only implement this after assessing their local markets and capacity and need, and we will learn from each locality that tries this on how to improve these programs. In more than 200 localities across the country, they have already implemented some form of this legislation, and evidence shows that it works, renters are protected, and homes continues to be built. While the opposition is not budging, the support for this bill is growing. I'm almost done with my last paragraph. This year, we have 28 co-patrons and counting, more than 30 organizations signed on to support 5 localities prioritizing this in their legislative agenda, and several more support the option. The Latino caucus, the AAPI caucus also support this as well, recognizing that this disproportionately impact people of color and immigrants. Every year, the General Assembly delays action and is costlier to the house. It makes the housing crisis become more costlier. Lastly, this bill does not need to be sent to the commission, but if it does, I please hope that they will actually docket it this time and study it and bring back some real tangible things that we can get to work on next year. But I hope it will be the will of the body to pass this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee? Delegate Cohen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Speaking to the bill,
Delegate Cohen.
I think, as you know, as one of the co-patrons in the past, I am such a huge fan of this bill. And I know how much work that you've done in the last year. One proposal that has been brought to our office a few times, the idea of establishing a pilot program. Have you had conversations about that and thought maybe this is a way to sort of make this happen?
Yes, and
Delegate Clark.
yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to the delegate. I would say yes. We have considered it, and I am open to it. If that's a friendly amendment, I would love to take it.
Any other questions from members of the subcommittee? Delegate Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate what you're trying to do, and I'm worried about these things too. I'm also worried about, in our community, we have a lot of small landlords who have just a handful of properties, and I'm worried that the housing supply is going to really be in trouble when they just decide that all these regulations are going to be just not worth it, and they're going to sell, which is going to make less housing available. So how will you speak, or will you ask the delegate if he would speak to how these smaller landlords with just 1 or 2 rental properties can navigate this exemption process?
Delegate Clark.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. To the delegate, the last 4 years, we actually did have that carve out for small landlords, the mom and pops. I don't mind making that amendment to give the localities the power to determine that as well, so they can have that option as well to determine what is a small landlord. But that has been in the bill for the last 4 years. It just came out this year, but I'm definitely open to put it back in.
Thank you, Delegate. Any additional questions from the members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, we will go to all those in favor that would like to speak to the bill. Please come forward. As a reminder, the clock is set for 5 minutes, so please keep your comments brief. Mr. Mayor, how you doing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm here to speak in support of this bill with Delegate Clark. As mayor, we have a few options when we look about increasing housing supply. One would be in Newport News, as Delegate Simons know, our goal is to build 21,000 housing units over the next 5 years. So we do that by one, increasing our supply, by two, building on church land, and by three, looking at other opportunities. And so when I hear about this bill, I've always said that housing has to be a human right, and we're going to support this. Additionally, this bill simply gives localities the option. This is another tool in our toolbox in order to ensure that all of our individuals have affordable housing. So I rise in support of this. Thank you for your time, Mr. Chair. I appreciate it.
As a reminder, please state your name and your organization.
Mayor Philip Jones, Newport News, Virginia. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. Larissa Zare with Legal Aid Justice Center. We support the bill. Just want to speak to some of the questions raised by the committee that currently the bill gives localities the option to add any additional exemptions, which a locality could exempt small landlords if that is what they wish based on their local market. It's a permissive bill and it's optional and very flexible. These policies work. They protect renters. Renters move less when they're in place. Over 200 localities have these across the country. Renters stay in their neighborhoods for longer. Children stay in their schools. And these are far more, they preserve affordable housing at a far greater scale than any subsidies or development funding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hola, muy buenos días a todos. Soy Miriam, residente de Richmond. Vengo ante ustedes porque mi familia y yo estamos pasando en este momento una dura situación muy difícil debido a los aumentos de renta que actualizan año con año en los contratos y las viviendas o departamentos no están en las condiciones para una vida digna, ya que cuentan con plagas como ratas, cucarachas, problemas de electricidad, los electrodomésticos en muy mal estado, y esto pues cada vez complica nuestra situación. Nosotros cuando reportamos no nos toman en cuenta, dormimos respirando el moho o la humedad y es una situación que afecta nuestra salud. Mas sin embargo, nosotros nos notifican un aumento que va desde $150 a $300. En mi caso pagábamos en el año 2025 $1,200 y hoy en la actualidad, enero del 2026, $1,450. Esta es una de las tristes realidades que vivimos algunos inquilinos alrededor de Virginia. Esperamos contar con su apoyo para la ley HB 278. Muchas gracias por su atención.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Miriam. I'm a resident of Richmond, and I come before you because my family and I are going through a very difficult time dealing with these increases in the rent every time that we renew our lease. And the housing, the apartments, are not in a condition that is dignified or safe, because we have rat and cockroach infestations, electricity problems, appliances that do not work, and when we report these things, we are dismissed. We sleep with humidity and with mold, with moisture accumulation that affects our health, but on top of that, and despite that, they'll notify us of rent increases between $150 and $300. In 2025, we paid $1,200, and now in January 2026, we're paying $1,450. This is the reality of many of us tenants that are living in Virginia. We hope to count on your support for HB 278. Thank you for your attention.
Good morning to the chair and the subcommittee. My name is Zachary Mossery. I am here, a resident of Richmond, Virginia. I am a small landlord, and I'm also a renter. I'm here to support this bill. Given the fair rate of return that has been included by Delegate Clark, and like everything else that is here, and we're meant to protect renters, I believe in supporting this bill and helping protect our communities. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chad Stewart with the Virginia Education Association. This is an affordability issue for our school staff members. We've seen average teacher pay and support staff pay not keep up with inflation since the pandemic. 3 out of 10 of our teachers and half of our support staff can't afford to live in the localities that they work. This is a dignity issue for our school staff, and affordability is critical for keeping a good school workforce in the locality. Thank you.
Mr. Freeman, before you start, we're going to give 5 more minutes, but I ask everybody to keep their comments to 30 seconds. I will bang the gavel at 30 seconds, so I'm respectfully asking everybody to keep their comments at 30 seconds, but we will put a few more minutes on the clock so everybody could be heard. All right. Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Jonathan Freeman, representing Loudoun County. Coming from the county, well, one of the counties with some of the highest median rent in the state, where our median rent is about $2,300 or so. We have seen over the last couple of years the median rent increase by about 43% or so. And so we just see this as one of the many tools that we could utilize to keep housing affordable. So we thank you for bringing this bill forward. Delegate Clark.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Christy Marrow with the Virginia Poverty Law Center. And on behalf of VPLC and Housing Opportunities Made Equal, we want to thank Delegate Clark for bringing this bill again and for working so diligently to get it through. And we strongly support the bill.
Hello, my name is Emily Morrow. I'm a citizen in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm speaking on behalf of my parents who are small landlords in Northern Virginia. They own 3 properties, and they're both school teachers, so they can't be here today. But I wanted to just say on their behalf that they have not raised their rent for their properties in the past 10 years because they believe that's the right thing to do, but there are many landlords who do not believe that. So I'm in support of this bill, and they are as well.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Christian Martinez, Research and Policy Analyst at CASA. We strongly support this bill and thank the delegate for bringing this forward. Thank you.
Morning, Joe Lurch, representative of the Virginia Association of Counties, speaking in support. We note that this is an optional tool, and what we encourage is all the stakeholders, should a locality begin this process, there's a whole nother process at the local level with an ordinance to craft the right tool for that locality and that market. So thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Monica Sarmiento. I'm the Executive Director for the Virginia Coalition for Immigrant Rights. On behalf of our coalition members statewide, we strongly encourage you to vote yes on this bill and thank the patron for bringing this bill.
Good morning. Sheila Hurley Hennessy with the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy, and representing both my organization and the 20-odd organizations in the Allies for Housing Action Coalition, we strongly support this bill. And on a personal note, before I came to Richmond, I used to work on a church staff, and I would hear from my members who were seeing rent increases of $300, $400 year on year, and no family, especially if they're on the lower end of the income spectrum, can sustain that. Please give us this tool. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Chad Wells. I'm a Richmond resident, and I strongly urge you to get this bill passed, primarily because I used to live right around the corner, and I got priced out of my apartment several times, to the point where now it actually impacted work and my health care. So I strongly urge you to pass this bill so I can have a stable place to live and get my promotions the way I'm supposed to. Thank you.
Rodney Hunter, pastor Wesley Memorial United Methodist Church, VPLC, and also HOME Home. I'm here to support this bill because it's needed for so many persons who are struggling with cost of rent, and the salaries and wages are not increasing at all. So thank you if you support this bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Kelly Harris Braxton, Virginia First Cities Coalition. We strongly support the bill. We represent 17 cities across the Commonwealth, and we think this is a great tool to help our citizens. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Chris Lane, representing Arlington County. We support this tool. I'm grateful for the patron bringing it forward. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Kashish Pillay with New Virginia Majority. We are all united in a belief that all Virginians deserve access to safe, habitable, healthy, and affordable housing, regardless of race, income, or zip code. That vision has increasingly become unattainable. The goal of this legislation is to offer a cost-effective and data-driven tool to stabilize households, prevent homelessness, and preserve affordable housing at scale. It empowers communities to respond to urgent local needs, complements supply-side strategies, and protects both renters and responsible landlords. We strongly urge the committee to vote in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak against this legislation? Please come forward.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, DJ Spiker with the Virginia Realtors. While rent stabilization, anti-rent gouging, and rent control may look good at first glance, economic evidence is clear and repeatedly shows the policy is ineffective and is actually ultimately harmful overall to the housing market. Research shows that limiting income generated by rental properties creates obvious disadvantages for housing providers in the short term, limiting their revenue to improve their properties, but in the long run, it encourages providers to get out of the housing business altogether, which further constricts housing supply as a whole. Growing number of unmaintained properties as a result leads to negatively affecting property values in surrounding areas, creating a spiraling effect that ultimately results in lower property taxes for localities. Research has repeatedly shown that developers are reluctant to build in these areas where the government imposes rent controls despite exemptions for new construction, stalling new development, and again, further restricting housing supply. The best way to keep housing affordable in the Commonwealth is to ensure that housing supply keeps pace with our growing demand. 200,000 market rate homes currently short, and that number continues to grow. We need local and state governments working together to remove unnecessary barriers, delaying new development, allowing accessory dwelling units, repurposing to commercial structures. There are a number of answers out there to increase supply, which ultimately addresses the rising cost of rent. Well, unfortunately, this policy isn't it. We strongly oppose the bill. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good morning, Bisma Ahmed with the Apartment and Office Building Association and the Virginia Apartment Management Association. We certainly appreciate the intent of the bill, but unfortunately, as mentioned, there are so many unintended consequences with regard to supply in this bill. For example, Governor Spanberger's Executive Order 3 noted that there's a deficit of roughly 300,000 affordable rental homes right now. And then Virginia, on top of that, needs to build 10,000 units per year just to keep up. And we saw in Maryland, investors withdrew in suburban Maryland, Montgomery County. Now, their investment in new multifamily housing has decreased by 96%. So this is a huge number. And in this bill, we can implement even more restrictive rent regulations than Maryland. And then it would split Virginia into 133 separate rental housing markets. Housing providers have rent as their lone revenue source. And so they can only manage that lost income by reducing rent services or deferring capital investments. And this is especially the case for older communities, which provide a lot of our market rate affordable housing. So for that reason, we do oppose. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. We associate ourselves with the remarks of the last two speakers. Would also add, this legislature has done a lot in the last 2 to 4 years to address the core of the issue, supply. You guys have increased the size of the state's low-income housing tax credit, which pairs with the federal low-income housing tax credit. It's the biggest producer of affordable, truly long-term affordable housing in the Commonwealth and in the country. On top of that, several financing programs at the local level that cities are starting to pick up on, and those are actually delivering units to house folks at 50% below AMI. And I think, like my colleague from the Realtors said, the solution to this is increasing supply and making sure that developers and builders can actually get their product to the market as quickly as possible at the least cost possible. Thank you.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Randy Garnby. I'm representing the Virginia Manufactured and Modular Housing Association. I would associate myself with the previous comments. We do see a challenge in the supply arena. We're way behind on supply, and until we address that issue, rent control is not the solution in our mind. We do appreciate the delegate offering and continuing to work with stakeholders, but we're just fundamentally opposed to this issue. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, Ross Grogg with Kemper Consulting on behalf of the Housing Solutions Coalition. HSC is a national nonprofit focused on housing issues, and just like the previous speakers, we believe that increasing supply and making supply easier is the way to get at this issue, and that rent control does not fix it. So for that, we are opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Patrice Lewis here on behalf of the Northern Virginia Apartment Association, and we align our comments with the previous speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe there are a few folks online. We will have, again, 5 minutes per side. However, we will not be extending the time, so I respectfully ask you all to keep your comments brief. And if we do not get to you, then you can submit a written testimony at Hod Speak portal that's online. So what we will do is start I believe we have Mr. Kwesi Powell online.
Yes, hi, my name is Kwesi Powell. I do want to say good afternoon. I'm a member of New Regime Majority and a resident of the city of Richmond, and I'm here today to speak in strong support of House Bill 278. As a victim of homelessness and from my personal background, rent increases not only burden, but destroy the possibility of being housed and providing desire that never lets up. Since turning 21 in the state of Virginia, homelessness has been everything I've kind of experienced in the state of Virginia. And due to that, I do support the passing of House Bill 278.
Thank you. Next, we have Ms. Jada Pender.
Hello, my name is Jada Pender, and I'm a resident from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I'm speaking in strong support of this bill. Working alongside the Hampton Roads community as a community organizer, I've come across many individuals that talked about how affordable housing and safe housing in the area is increasingly not getting better and is getting priced out. And many people have expressed that the pricing increasing without landlords holding up their end of the bargain. With everyday prices increasing and rent prices dramatically increasing and working wage decreasing, Virginia renters cannot afford severe and compounding rent increases. So Hampton Roads deserves the ability to use all the options at their disposal to remedy the housing crisis and protect renters. So by voting yes to this bill, it will provide stability to renters, hold landlords accountable, and upkeep livable spaces, preventing displacement and preserve affordable housing at a large scale. So I ask you all today to vote yes on this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Mayor Gaskins.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. I'm Mayor Aaliyah Gaskins, and on behalf of the City of Alexandria, we fully support this bill. I think we all want the same thing, which is for our residents to be able to afford to stay in our communities. In Alexandria, 57% of my residents are renters. Of that, 44% pay more than 30% of their income on housing, leaving them one rent increase from being able to stay in our community. We have consistently supported this bill, and I'm happy to say that this is the #1 priority in our housing master plan. So I urge your support. I want to thank the Delegate Clark for bringing forth this bill, and just want to say again on behalf of my residents that this is a huge priority, and we think it would be a great tool in solving our housing affordability challenges. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Ashley Alstad.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Elstad. I use she, they pronouns, and I work with Home Case Center. We serve Asian Americans across Virginia, and this issue is very important to our community members who are facing a housing crisis at this time, and we urge you to support the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Elizabeth Forbes.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Forbes, and I'm a constituent from Newport News, speaking in support of House Bill 278. As a renter myself, I've experienced rent increase year after year while wages and job opportunities have not kept pace. Even as a work professional, housing has become less affordable. Through my work and profession as an aftercare coordinator and case manager, I have also seen how rising rent completely shuts out individuals returning from incarceration, increasing house instability and recidivism. Housing Bill 278 is a solution because it gives localities the authority to address excessive rent increase and prevent rent gouging based on community needs. I respectfully urge you to vote yes for House Bill 278.
Thank you. Next, you have
Thank you.
Khalil Rafiq.
Good morning. My name is Khalil Rafiq. I'm a community organizer with Hamke Center. And I am talking on behalf of those hundreds of households whom we have outreach to in Fairfax County, in the areas of Centerville and Annandale especially. where some of the folks have said that they have a rent increase of $200 per year. And also, there are other fees that have been charged in the name of lease renewal that can be $250 per household per year. So I am in support of this bill because there are many families who have reported that sometimes they have to decide between staying in home and paying their rent and between providing food for their family. Thank you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, so I know there are a few people that were signed up to speak. If you could express your comments to Hide Speak portal. And next, we will have 5 minutes for those online that are against. I believe there are 2. We have John Musso. All right. We don't see John Musso. We have Chris Brutch. I don't believe I see Chris Brutch. So we are back in front of the subcommittee. Oh, there's Chris. You have the floor.
Hi, good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Chris Brew. I'm CEO of the Donahoe Companies. We're a developer, owner, builder of multifamily in the DMV. I appear before you today in opposition to HB 278. Please do not make the same mistake we made here in Montgomery County. Montgomery County has gone from being the most desirable submarket for multifamily investment in the Washington region to the worst. Since the passing of rent control in 2023, new multifamily construction has virtually stopped. Worse, Montgomery County has been redlined by institutional grade investors and pension funds, without which there is no new development. The unintended consequences we are experiencing has our council now considering a full repeal of the law. Rent control and MSAs nationwide have failed to reduce housing costs. Instead, they degrade our housing stock and living conditions. Your constituents do not want rent control. They want homes they can afford to purchase and rent. We lower the cost of housing for everyone when we build more supply, all types of housing, single family, towns, market rate, income restricted apartments. Government has a moral obligation and duty to house its neediest residents. Income restricted, truly affordable housing doesn't happen naturally or because of rent control legislation. It only happens with federal, state, and local subsidies like LIHTC, state and local government grants, property tax abatements, and free land contributed by state and local governments. Rent control sounds like a great idea to the average citizen on the street. Don't expect your constituents to understand why it is a failed policy that will not reduce their housing cost. In fact, just the opposite. Constraining supply is proven to only increase housing costs for renters and purchasers. Please do not make the same mistake we made. Thank you all for your consideration.
Thank you. And I see John Musso online. Mr. Musso, you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. John Musso, Government Affairs Manager at the Arlington Chamber of Commerce. On behalf of the Chamber, we oppose this bill. We believe this is not in the best interest of boosting the much needed growth of our housing supply in the Commonwealth. Thank you.
Thank you. We are back in front of the committee. Are there any questions for the patron? Seeing no questions for the patron, Delegate Clark, I appreciate you continue to bring this bill in front of us. I think you've heard from a lot of folks how important, just the cost overall affordability is across the Commonwealth, including rent. We talk about all the time. I was actually talking about this bill, I believe, last week. But after talking to leadership members of the committee, we've had this discussion. We do believe it needs a little bit more, discussion, just kind of make it a little bit better so we could bring all sides together. So what we have recommended is continuing this bill to 2026 with a letter to the Housing Commission. And I know you did mention 2027. Thank you, Delegate Gold. 2027 with a letter to the Housing Commission. And what we will do, it'll be a real letter, and we will try to make sure they do bring it from them so they can talk about and discuss, and we get to a good point. So hopefully we can pass it in the upcoming sessions. So this committee operates by motion.
Motion to continue to 2027.
Second.
There's been a motion with a proper second to continue this bill with a letter to 2027 to the Housing Commission. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll?
Mr. Chair, can I
that's the
speak
voice vote.
to
Excuse
the
me.
motion?
All those in favor? Any opposed? All right. That approved. Thank you so much, Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee.
Mr. Chair,
Chair.
if you can just make sure at full committee, I know it won't pop on the docket, but if the clerk can make sure we just bring this up so we formally capture that we're going to do the letter at full, I'd appreciate that.
All right, next we will have Delegate Anthony.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I have before you House Bill 177. Before you, which is a modernization of Virginia law to clarify the authority of local governments to charge the same limited fee for failed electronic payments that they may already charge for bad checks. Current law allows localities to pass an ordinance charging up to $50 when someone pays local government charges with a check that is later not honored by their financial institution due to insufficient funds, incorrectly specified account information, closed or non-existent accounts, or stop payment orders placed in bad faith. However, the existing statute was drafted primarily with paper checks in mind and does not clearly reflect today's payment landscape in which electronic and automated payment systems are becoming the norm. So by inserting language into the code for payment orders, this bill ensures that local governments have clear, consistent legal authority to address failed payments, regardless of whether the transaction was initiated by check or electronically. Failed payments, regardless of format, incur real administrative cost, including staff time for reconciliation, banking fees, and customer service follow-up. The bill ensures localities may recover a portion of these costs without absorbing them into already constrained operating budgets. This bill was brought to us by the Treasurers Association of Virginia. Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I hope it is the will of the committee to pass this bill.
Thank you, Delegate Anthony. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, is there anyone in the committee room that would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, Alan Albert on behalf of the Treasurers Association, very much appreciate Delegate Anthony bringing forward the bill. Glad to answer any technical questions. If not, I'll sit down and let you get to the rest of your agenda.
Thank you so much. Is there anyone that would like to speak against the bill? All right, I believe we see a few folks online that would like to speak in favor of this bill. So we'll go online. I believe we had the Treasurer of Norfolk and former Delegate Don Hester.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I am Dawn Hester, Treasurer of the City of Norfolk, and we are here to support HB 17-7. Will clarify for us that we can impose a bad check fee when the payment is made by some means other than mailing or delivering a paper check. In Norfolk, in 2025, we had 515 that we had to track down and clean up, and that takes quite a bit of time. So we just really want to upgrade and update now that we are all taking primarily more electronic checks. We thank you for your time, and we thank Delegate Anthony, and we ask for your support. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Charlie Evelyn.
Yes, Charles Evelyn, Treasurer for that county of New Kent. Also,
Mr. Evelyn, this committee,
yes.
Can you turn on your camera?
Seem to be having some problems. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Well, typically we only allow folks to speak to a bill if their camera's on, but I will allow, in this case, 30 seconds.
Totally understand. Thank you, sir. And I just want to I agree with Treasurer Hester's comments you just made. I support the bill. I'm an executive board member of the Treasurers Association. We support this bill, and we thank the delegates for carrying it. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, we have Treasurer Henderson. We cannot hear you. We're still unable to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Good morning. I'm sorry about that. I'm Lee Henderson, Treasurer of the City of Virginia Beach. I am speaking in support of this House bill. I want to thank Delegate Anthony for bringing this forward to you. Here in the City of Virginia Beach, we've seen a significant increase in our electronic payments over our mail payments. In 2025, we had more than 4,000 electronic payments being returned. This bill will help modernize the code section, allowing us to recoup some of our costs, and I am in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are back in front of the committee. Are there any additional questions for Delegate Anthony?
Mr.
Chair. Chairman Helmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Delegate Anthony, I just wanted to understand, and I'm sorry for not checking in on this earlier, if somebody on an electronic payment system as you submit online keys in the wrong account number or something like that, is this going to allow charging a fee for that, or it's only if you properly, is it truly a bad check equivalent, or is it if you make if you have an accident, is it going to result in the ability to charge a fee?
I will have the experts, Mr. Chair. I will tell the delegate that the bill's purpose is not to adjudicate banking errors or anything like that. It clarifies when the locality may recover administrative costs once a payment is confirmed as unpaid.
Mr. Chairman, and Delegate Anthony, thank you. That's exactly right. This would apply to a failed transaction. If the transaction, let's say you get the routing number wrong or something like that, typically the transaction is not going to go through. So this would not be triggered because there would not be a failed payment. It would just be an unsuccessful payment at the customer's or the taxpayer's end. But, there is a variety of ways that folks do this. They use different vendors and that sort of thing. So it's likely that payment just would never work to begin with. If it's an invalid routing number, for instance, the system's typically not going to accept it.
Thank you. Delegate Shin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I might ask a question to maybe the expert in the room, if you can walk me through the user experience for the person who's then put in the wrong information, like from an electronic checking standpoint, I've put in the wrong information. I now owe you more money on top of that. How do you recoup the fees that you want to impose now?
I'm sorry, how does the locality recoup the fee? Well, it would be added to the bill. So let's say that you're paying, real property tax bill. If your real property taxes aren't paid through your mortgage, you do it electronically online and you end up being late. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a penalty. This wouldn't be imposed. Typically there'd be either a penalty or this charge. You're not going to see both of those typically. And of course, it depends on the timing with respect to penalty. But this is really to recoup the fee that the financial institution imposes. Just like in a bad check, if somebody gives you a bad check, you deposit it, you get a $35 charge or $40 charge on your account. Same thing happens with electronic payments that fail. So it's just to put them on the same ground.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, a follow-up.
Delegate Shin.
My understanding then, the bank, the financial institution, would be responsible for not putting that $35 bad check fee on you, but instead imposing it against the other or the sender of the funds. And is that mechanically possible through the banks?
No. I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. This is a.
You have all conversation and comments come through the chair.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, to answer Delegate Shin's further question, all charges would be imposed by the treasurer, and it goes to the bill, the underlying bill, So if there's a $25 charge that you fail to pay, it's added to the balance.
Right, and if, Mr. Chair, I'm so sorry, one more clarification. If it's a $25 bill that you fail to pay, this language says that an ordinance may provide for a fee not exceeding $50. So what's the world in which you may fail to pay a $25 bill and then you get hit with a $50 fee for that?
There's no question that in that kind of scenario, the fee is, the fee is large in comparison to the underlying bill, but it's exactly the same scenario as if you paid that with a bad paper check. Typically you're not going to see this happen with a $25 bill, obviously, because, typically you don't have an insufficient funds issue with respect to something like that.
I see. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Delegate Hummer, Chair Hummer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, just speaking to the bill for a moment, as I look at this, I appreciate what the delegate is trying to do here in the challenge. I wonder if we might want to work on this bill a little bit, because I actually read it slightly differently as the words are written here. It explicitly says an incorrectly specified account information would actually result in the charge being there. I think we'd probably want to have some conversation about that. It also says later in the bill, it specifies again that incorrectly specified account information being a reason for that. That is a change from somebody writing a physical check where they don't have the funds available in the account. So we might just want to think about that a little bit, and I don't think we want to sit here and make an amendment live on the dais. So it might be worthwhile to take this bill by, and then we can think about if there's some ways to address that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it looks like we want to work on this a little bit more before next week.
Mr. Chair, last words.
Delegate Anthony.
Thank you. Thank you for the members of the committee and all the issues that you have brought forward. So I just wanted to reiterate that this is not intended to be regressive or inequitable in any way or form. Again, it is not intended to adjudicate any banking errors or replace any existing dispute resolution processes. The bill's purpose is limited to clarifying when a locality may recover administrative costs once a payment is confirmed as unpaid. It does not mandate for automatic fee assessments, nor does it restrict a locality's discretion to waive fees in cases of technical or good faith error. This bill does not expand enforcement authority or penalty structures beyond what already exist. This is narrowly tailored for modernization of the payment process authority. Granting local authority discretion allows the localities to tailor implementation to local fiscal capacity, payment systems, and community needs. Mr. Chair, I hope that you and the members of the committee will report this bill.
Thank you, Delegate. This committee operates by motion. And I will ask the delegate to come see myself and Chairman Helmer throughout the week to just work on this bill a little bit so we can just get to a good place so we can look to try to pass it. All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to take this bill by for the day.
There's a motion with a proper second. All those in favor? Aye. All right. The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
This committee will go at ease. Order. Delegate Reed.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, good morning. Thank you for taking the time to listen to House Bill 370. As many of you are aware, is in December of 2024, JLARC published a report on data centers and some of the recommendations that we could use to provide better parameters for localities on how to manage the growth and the siting for those particular large energy and potential water users. What House Bill 370 does is it goes into the section of the code that allows localities to have additional permissive opportunity to be able to pass ordinances to be able to address water usage, specifically surrounding proposed industrial and commercial facilities. This is down on line 172, and asking those particular facilities to be able to submit annual water consumption estimates, and then also to submit information about the use of public resources when making rezoning or special use decisions. So again, this is directly derived from the JLARC report from 2024 as a way to provide localities with additional tools in their toolkit to be able to ask for information about water usage. That's the gist of the bill, and I would be happy to entertain any questions. I will say that I did work with both, I did work with the data center community, and again, this is borrowed very heavily from the recommendations of the JLARC report.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, are there any individuals in the room that would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Good morning, committee chairman. Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We're in support of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak against this bill in opposition?
Mr. Chairman, Brett Vassy, I'm the CEO of the Virginia Manufacturers Association. We're not opposed to the bill, but we would like some clarification and maybe consideration. On line 172, we understand the purpose, but you're sweeping every factory in the Commonwealth into this bill, which I don't think was the patron's intent. Romanet 1 says requiring proposed industrial and commercial facilities to submit annual water consumption estimates. We already do that to DEQ. We would ask for consideration that any of these facilities, if the localities would like access to that, they can, rather than require a whole new set of permitting and reporting structures in all 134 jurisdictions for all 5,000 factories. We'd ask for that consideration and that exemption. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't believe there's anyone online. We're back in front of the subcommittee. Looks like Delegate Cohen, you have a question?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, addressing the patron.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask, what has the coordination been with DEQ here in trying to sort of unpack this bill and looking at maybe why localities would be asked to, not provide this information, that they have the sort of weird interaction of these non-disclosure agreements that then localities will have the information but can't provide the information. In thinking about how DEQ needs to do what they do and regulate, what input has DEQ had on your particular bill, and would it solve sort of what they are looking for in figuring out about water consumption, or are they getting the information from the localities that just can't be disclosed publicly?
Mr. Chairman, to address Delegate Cohen's question, I have not actually coordinated with DEQ on this. I will freely admit that I really pulled very much directly from the JLARC report and tried to look at all of the different recommendations that were in there. I know that localities have indicated that they need the ability to be able to get access to this information so that they can make more informed decisions about the potential water use. And of course, you see that both Farm Bureau and manufacturing have different opinions on how this would be implemented. And so I appreciate the question and look forward to the discretion of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Delegate Reed. Are there any additional questions for members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, Delegate Reed, we appreciate you bringing this bill back. I know there are a lot of bills concerning data centers and different things, and it's things we're going to continue to work on throughout this year and into next year. So I appreciate you bringing this bill. But this committee does operate by a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Shin,
I'd move to continue this bill to 2027.
there's a motion with the proper second to continue this bill to 2027. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Delegate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members.
Delegate Guzman.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee. I bring to you House Bill 496, which is right now, currently the problem is the data centers in Virginia lack sufficient transparency with local water usage. When applicants seek approval to build new data centers, whether there is a rezoning application or a special exception or a special use permit, they are not using non-disclosure agreements to conceal estimated water use from the public and localities. And the lack of existence of these agreements prevent the public and localities from fully understanding the potential impact on local water resources. As existing data centers do not publicly share water use information, they are competing with the water consumption from our constituents that not only rely on water sewer, but also rely on well, the people in my district. So this makes it very difficult for the locality to develop strategies to ensure that there is enough water for citizens. So House Bill 496 addresses this concern by having localities require data center applicants to examine and disclose the expected water use of the site before approving a rezoning application. Knowing how much water is used is extremely important because we'll allow localities to put in place plans to ensure that enough water is safe for Virginians and that we can request from data centers transparency and accountability so we can put plans in place. I don't think this is a hard thing to do. We're only asking anytime they do an application to provide an estimated average of daily use, maximum daily use, and total maximum annual use. So these bills, once again, increase government transparency and will allow Virginians to trust in the process, and localities should have the same knowledge of water usage as they are doing their plannings when they do their planning. So we're asking to disclose this information. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee.
Thank you, Delegate Guzman. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing that, is anyone in the room? Delegate Helmer.
This bill, as it's currently, I'd ask the delegate, this bill as it's currently constructed is just about public disclosure on the water?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Chairman Helmer, any folks that would like to speak in favor of this bill? Looks like quite a few individuals, and we are running up on time, so I truly ask you to keep your comments to 30 seconds, if not shorter. And if you agree with the person behind you, just say I agree with the person or in front of you, please.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the subcommittee. My name is Kyle Hart. I represent a nonprofit called the National Parks Conservation Association. I first and foremost want to thank the delegate for bringing this very important piece of legislation. This is a matter of the utmost importance to the conservation community, who all stand behind me ready to testify. This is good government. This is transparency. This is good water policy. The Delegate Cohen was asking about the use of NDAs. This bill tackles that problem. This bill allows good planning by water authorities, by the Department of Environmental Quality and others, and tackles one of the most pressing issues of our water at the time. As water use increases around the state and climate change and increases and lengthens droughts, planning will be very important to protect our resources. So thank you, and I hope you will support this bill.
Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee, my name is Brent Hunsinger with Friends of the Rappahannock. I'd also like to thank the delegate for bringing this bill. This bill is a matter of public transparency and critical to water planning into the future. It was recently stated in a public meeting that we shouldn't worry about data centers, how much water they use, because they use less water than recreational car washes. That wasn't, they want us to trust them. We prefer to verify, but we can't verify because they hide the information behind these confidentiality agreements. This bill will make sure that all people in the Commonwealth have the same knowledge developers and other individuals do regarding estimated water usage, and will lead to better democracy in our communities. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. Blair St. Ledger Olson with the Virginia League of Conservation Voters. I'd like to thank the patron for bringing this bill forward. I associate myself with the comments made before me and reinforce the fact that this is truly a key transparency issue. Localities and their constituents have every right to know how much water is being used when an industrial group comes forward for a permit. So with that, we would ask you to support the bill. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Shannon Orcutt with James River Association. Good water planning depends on good information, and good governance depends on transparency. So we urge you to support this bill.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is Rebecca Malpass. I'm with the Virginia Conservation Network, and on behalf of our 160-plus partners across the Commonwealth, we associate ourselves with the previous comments and very much support this bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. My name is Kim Sutterth, and I am the Policy Director for Virginia Interfaith Power and Light. We associate ourselves with the previous comments, and we hope that you'll support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Megan Ryan with Virginia Coalition for Open Government. I would say several times every month I get calls or questions from citizens who have either been denied information under the Freedom of Information Act, citing an exemption for maybe a trade secret or attorney work product. It changes every time, it seems. We also hear from citizens who've been kept out of meetings or who find out about meetings after the fact. And as previously discussed, the non-disclosure agreements mean that a lot of citizens find out about these projects after the deal is done, and at which point they have no input anymore. And so we support this bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, committee, Rachel Henley with Virginia Farm Bureau. We thank the patron, and we are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the subcommittee. My name is Emma Berry, and I'm with the Southern Environmental Law Center. And for all of the reasons stated previously, we are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Madeline Green, and I'm with the Potomac Riverkeeper Network. Some of you may have seen a report released in December by the Interstate Commission on the Potomac River Basin, which found that changing weather patterns and increased water demands are putting a strain on the Potomac's water supply. It found an increasing chance of water shortages for DC and Arlington, where the Potomac is the sole source of drinking water, whereas most regions have 2 or more sources. It found that data center growth is contributing to the uncertain future of our water supply, and when data center applicants use NDAs to hide water use information from decision makers, their ability to make informed plans about their water resources is diminished. I urge you to support this bill.
Good morning, Chair and members of the subcommittee. This is Stuart Schwartz, Coalition for Smarter Growth. We support the bill. I've also been asked to communicate that the Piedmont Environmental Council also supports the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak against this bill, in opposition to this bill? Seeing none, I believe we have one person online that would like to speak in favor of this bill, Mrs. Rachel Hager.
Chairman and members of the committee, I support HB 496 because Virginians deserve transparency before public water is promised away. In Botetourt County, Google's data center's water use is hidden under an NDA, now the subject of FOIA litigation, while construction moves forward. NDAs only hide corruption. Patents and trademarks already exist to protect their innovation. At the same time, the Western Virginia Water Authority faces shortages and quality problems, yet residents pay rising rates while corporations receive secrecy and subsidies. HB 496 costs nothing and restores sunlight. Please vote yes and ensure public water serves the public first.
Thank you so much. We are back in front of the subcommittee. Delegate Shin.
Mr. Chair, thank you. If I might just speak to the bill really briefly. I I support transparency and making sure that some of our large load customers, especially data centers, are disclosing their water consumption. It's a concern for lots of our communities. I'm in Northern Virginia and Herndon, where it is a pressing concern for lots of my constituents. However, I think that some of this is a little bit shifted. And so for today and right now, I'm going to throw up a no vote because I think localities already have the authority to do this. And I think it's actually localities who have been pretty irresponsible in what they have and haven't permitted and required in terms of disclosures. And so I think that it shifts the responsibility a little bit. And I'd like to see localities step up more and taking more of their responsibility. Just for today, I'm going to be throwing up a no in this sub.
Thank you, Delegate Shin. This committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Cohen?
motion to report.
There's been a motion with a second to report HB 496. All those in favor? Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? All right. Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? This bill reports 6-1. Thank you, Delegate Guzman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the subcommittee, and look forward to working with Delegate Shin to ensure that we can earn her support from now to full committee. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Delegate Oates.
Good morning, Chair and Subcommittee. I had intended to come before you and present HB 779, which is the small portable solar generation devices, and have since talked to Delegate Krizik, who has a very similar bill. And he and I have made the decision to work together to pursue his bill. And so I look forward to helping him get it across the finish line with the permission of this committee.
Absolutely. Would you like us to strike the bill?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Delegate Oates.
Or could I roll the bill into
yes.
his bill? I think is what my request would be.
Okay. Well, we could do that, but then we'd have to make a motion on this one. So it's either we could table. What we'll do, we'll table it, and then you can work with Delegate Krizik to become a co-patron or a patron.
And I apologize. We were just texting while I've been in this committee, or I would have let you know sooner.
You're fine. And I just hate that you have been here an hour and a half.
Thank you so much. Thank you, committee.
Thank you. This committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair,
Delegate Simons.
motion to table, gently lay this bill on the table.
There's been a motion with a second to lay HB 779 on the table by Delegate Oates. And that is a recorded vote. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? The vote is 6-0. We have gently laid this House bill on the table with hopes of you all working together, the delegate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I look forward to working with Delegate Krizik.
Delegate Leftwich.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, I'm here to present House Bill 723. Language is pretty straightforward. And what we're trying to do is have subdivisions that were created more than 40 years ago for residential properties and more than 60 years ago for commercial properties deemed lawful subdivisions. So why do we need this? So what happens many times is before you can sell a piece of property, and actually the code says it's illegal to transfer an illegal piece of property that was illegally subdivided. And so if you have property that was subdivided in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, when there was no subdivision ordinance and the plat records aren't what they are of today's standards, many times you can't get title insurance to ensure that the property was legally subdivided. Your standard residential search is 40 years, your standard commercial search is 60 years. And so without that insurance, you can't get a loan, you can't get lender's insurance. And so this basically would deem property subdivided more than 40 years for residential, more than 60 years commercial as a legal subdivision and allow it to be conveyed to a potential home buyer or builder. And so this is not going to move the needle for affordable housing a whole bunch, but what it does do is we all know that that is driven by supply and demand, and this would allow property that's bottled up because of questions about legality of subdivision to be transferred. This bill was actually brought to me by an attorney who works for a national title underwriter who happens to be a constituent. She got caught up in this herself. And I know that Chairman Simon deals in this industry, and so I spoke with him. And pursuant to my conversation with him yesterday, he feels like it's legitimate legislation, and he's actually, if the bill proceeds, has told me that he would be a patron on the bill. So hopefully that adds a little bit of legitimacy to what I'm trying to do here. Not aware of any opposition.
Thank you, Delegate Leftwich. Delegate Simons.
A question for the patron.
Delegate Simons.
So in Newport News, we have a lot of previously rural areas where the property owner just divided up the land themselves. Wouldn't those plots have been recorded at some point, or are you saying that there are situations where the person divided up their land and then never went and recorded them properly?
So what this is designed to address are situations like you mentioned, but prior to a subdivision ordinance having been adopted. And so I understand exactly what you're saying. Localities need a method to have property properly subdivided. And I think what you're getting at is, could someone circumvent that process with this bill? And I would say no, because they'd have to do it and then wait 40 years for it to be deemed a legal subdivision. And I've encountered this problem in my legal practice, and it really affects those people who many years ago didn't have access to an engineer or an attorney or someone to do something like that.
Mr. Chair, follow up?
Delegate Simons.
So we do have situations where with heritage properties where many families may be living on one large plot of land and they had never gotten, how would that impact those heritage properties?
So,
Delegate Leftwich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It would only impact those properties if, for example, 40 years ago, those separate home sites were divided by some type of instrument like a will or a deed. So let's say you have 10 acres and 50 years ago, you got a building permit for this side of the property, building permit for that side of the property, and you have two homes on a 10-acre parcel. That would not impact that, because there was no underlying instrument. When I say instrument, I mean piece of paper, plat, deed, will, that actually tried to subdivide it. So this is only when there was an affirmative act to subdivide, but prior to there being an ordinance governing the way that was supposed to look.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in favor of this legislation? Does anyone like to speak in opposition to this bill? All right. Seeing none, I don't believe there's anyone online. All right. We are back in front of the committee.
Move to report, Mr. Chair. Second. Might I withdraw my motion?
Delegate Shin, yes, you can withdraw your motion.
Move to report.
This House bill, there's been a motion with a proper second to report HB 723. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? All right, Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? With a vote of 5-1, HB 723.
Thanks, committee. I look forward to seeing y'all full.
Thank you, Dale Leftwich. It's all the delegates I recognize, but I believe there's Delegate Hamilton that's here. Please go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to present House Bill 535. I've got two today. House Bill 535 is a targeted modernization of Virginia's local planning law. It corrects a population threshold that no longer reflects how Virginia's local government structure is staffed. Under the Code of Virginia, a locality may appoint a designated agent to review subdivision plats, site plans, and development plans, allowing technical approvals to be handled efficiently without requiring full legislative action. However, current law limits when a local planning commission may serve as that designated agent. Today, that is permitted only in localities with populations of 5,000 or less. That threshold was set decades ago, when Virginia's local government staffing models looked very different than they do today. Virginia law already recognizes that small localities operate differently than large cities, and many statutes use population brackets to tailor this administrative flexibility, whether for staffing, budgeting, or procedural requirements. But the 5,000 resident threshold in this section is now functionally obsolete. Today, many towns exceed 5,000 residents but still rely on part-time planners. Many rural counties exceed 5,000 residents but have no full-time dedicated plan review staff. Volunteer planning commissions remain the primary land use body. And in fact, under current law, a town of 4,500 or 4,900 may allow its planning commission to serve as a designated agent, but a town of just 5,100 may not, even though their staffing capacity is exactly the same. This bill simply updates an outdated threshold. It allows a local planning commission to serve as designated agent in localities with populations up to 20,000. This reflects the current staffing realities, growth patterns in small rural towns, and the continued reliance on volunteer commissions. This allows for flexibility and efficient local plan review. And more importantly, this remains optional for localities. No locality is forced to adopt this structure. Without this flexibility, small localities must hire staff they cannot afford or send routine plan approvals to full governing bodies. This slows development review and it increases cost for local taxpayers. HB 535 keeps development moving, it reduces administrative burden, it preserves transparency, and it respects local government autonomy. At its core, this bill corrects an outdated population trigger that no longer matches Virginia's local government realities. This is not a mandate, it's an option. It restores flexibility, improves efficiency, and I thank you for your time, and I'll take questions.
Thank you, Delegate Hamilton. Are there any questions from members of the subcommittee? Seeing none, is there anyone in the committee room that would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Joe Lurch on behalf of VACO. When the legislation was updated last year to take this option away from localities, there was the 5,000 population threshold. After it was passed, we heard particularly from two of our members, two of our counties that are below 20,000, and it's their option to use the Planning Commission, which they find to be the most efficient way to do that, and they'd like that ability again. I think to the delegate's point, this is optional. I know I'm going to get the question, so how many counties are below 20,000? The latest I showed was about 38 out of the 95, and to be clear, we've only heard from two of them who would like this option under the 20,000 threshold, and we think it's just a fix-up from last year that gives that flexibility. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jim Smith. I serve on the Planning Commission in Madison County. We are greatly appreciative of Delegate Hamilton's bill. I'll speak very briefly. I know your time is limited. In Madison, I'm an out migrant from Arlington to Madison. Madison's budget is a rounding error in Arlington County, but we have very, very significant problems in the planning Commission, land use. We've always been a citizen-driven activity. By putting this in the hands of only our planning administrator, who is one of 5 people in the shop, there is no redundancy, there is no commonwealth of knowledge on how to deal with these things and make housing move along efficiently. By adopting the change that we're very much in favor of, we can use our planning commission members to be surrogates in that role. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Eldon James of the Virginia Chapter of the American Planning Association. Associate my remarks with VACO. They've hit the nail on the head. We've heard from a few of our members that with the very limited staff of our smallest counties, relying on the volunteer citizen planners of the Planning Commission is a very important support for them. And thank you to the patron for bringing the bill.
Good morning, Michelle Gowdy from the Virginia Municipal League. We haven't talked about the towns yet, so the towns really want this as well. So I associate my comments with VACO, but for the towns and for the cities as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone like to speak in opposition to this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia. The theme of the session has been affordability, streamlining the process to get more housing units on the ground. This bill went into effect last year. Senator Van Valkenburg, Delegate Simon worked on bills to cut nearly 4 months out of the review process and to provide a administrative discussion to resolve issues on the tail end of site plan reviews. These are not rezonings, so these are not policy discussions about whether a use is right or whether it's compatible with the adjoining properties. These are implementations of rezoning applications that have been approved, where buildings are located, where utilities are placed, and where roads are going to be placed. The reason we put this bill in last year was because we saw localities taking a very straightforward process and dragging out for about 28 months. And that's a huge, significant cost driver to these projects. The Supreme Court, on top of that, has already said that these plats and plans localities do not have discretion to impose conditions and to kind of go through that whole rezoning process again. It's a checklist approval. And so what we did here and what this bill would undo was essentially allow, I think, about 1/3 of Virginia localities, including Falls Church and some others, to effectively say, we're going to further delay site plan reviews. So we have a lot of concerns about this. We've heard from localities and from the housing industry, nonprofits, and the private sector that this bill has actually unclogged some of the pipelines. So we'd hope you would not support the bill and keep this statute in place as it is now. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
We are back in front of the committee. Any questions from the committee? All right, this committee operates by motion.
Mr. Chair, I move to gently lay this bill on the table.
There is a motion and a proper second to lay this bill on the table. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close the roll? With the vote of 6-1, we have laid this bill on the table. Thank you, Delegate Hamilton, and I believe you have a second one.
Okay, with your permission, I'd love to introduce to you House Bill 536. This is a targeted and fiscally responsible update to Virginia's impact fee statute, governing when and where localities may impose transportation impact fees. In the Virginia General Assembly, we have long recognized a basic principle of public finance, which is growth should help pay for the infrastructure it requires. Impact fees exist to ensure that new residential development contributes to the cost of the roads and transportation systems needed to serve it, rather than shifting that burden onto existing taxpayers. House Bill 536 preserves that principle, but it also brings clarity, fairness, and accountability to how this authority is exercised. Under current Virginia law, impact fee authority is tied to the creation of an urban transportation service district These districts require localities to formally plan transportation capacity, identify capital improvement needs, and adopt ordinances in accordance with state standards. That framework was designed to ensure that impact fees are based on real documented infrastructure demand and not arbitrary assessments. This bill reaffirms that structure. It provides that full impact fee authority applies in localities that have an urban transportation service district, but outside such districts, impact fees may only be imposed when agricultural land is subdivided by right residential development, where new housing clearly generates new transportation demand. So in other words, this bill ensures that impact fees are planned, justified, and geographically appropriate. This bill also facilitates what this body is unified in pursuing: affordability for everyday Virginians. Because without impact fees, the heavy cost of new roads, intersections, and transportation upgrades caused by new development falls purely on existing residents through higher taxes or deferred infrastructure maintenance. This is not fair to current taxpayers, and it's not sustainable budgeting. By contrast, properly structured impact fees ensure new development contributes to its proportionate share of infrastructure cost. It reduces pressure on property taxes. It prevents localities from issuing unnecessary debt. It encourages long-range transportation planning and promotes transparency and public budgeting. This is sound fiscal stewardship. It's what Virginians expect us to legislate by. This bill achieves three essential goals. It protects the taxpayer, it protects rural communities, and it supports responsible growth. Members, this is not a new tax. It's not an expansion of government authority. It's a refinement, ensuring that existing law works exactly as this General Assembly originally intended. For these reasons, I ask you to respectfully support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Are there any questions for members of the subcommittee? All right, is there anyone in the subcommittee room that would like to speak in favor of this bill?
Mr. Chairman, Joe Lurch again with VACO. This has been in our platform for several years now, actually going back quite a ways. There's a long history about a debate in Virginia about impact fees versus proffers. It's our contention from our members, and this goes back to 2007 when we came very close to an impact fee bill. It didn't make it quite across the line, is this ability where you have this by right development, and particularly the areas that the delegate mentioned. There are roads that need to be built. Sometimes there's other impacts to schools, other things, and it's a way to have some of this development working with the developers to pay for themselves. I would say that this is an option. It's not a mandate, and it's for those localities that want to make use of that tool. So for those reasons, we support it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Eldon James, again with the Virginia chapter of the American Planning Association. Our membership has long been in support of the impact fee option. We could get into a long discussion. I will not. I'll associate my remarks with Joe Lurch, who is a member of the Virginia chapter of the American Planning Association.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present. My name is James Jewett. I am Vice Chairman of the Madison County Board of Supervisors, and I'm on the front line of this issue. We are a small rural county, 14,000 residents north of Charlottesville. And just to put our situation into perspective, I want to throw out a few stats. We have an elderly population of 24% versus 16% statewide. We have 46% of our residents are working poor, classified as working poor. We have a third of our children in our county are classified as, I guess the term is food challenged. In our primary school, 80% of our students are considered economically disadvantaged. We have a very limited tax base. However, there are two factors here that bring this into relevance. One is that we have relatively cheap property values, and two, we are in proximity to some large population centers in the northern and central part of the state. Therefore, we are a prime target for large housing developers. And we have a couple of developments that we are seeing in the pipeline that are going to come before us in this upcoming year. Now, these housing developments, these aren't houses that local people from Madison can afford. These are houses that are built and priced and marketed to folks outside of the county. So it's not helping our local residents with affordable housing. But here's the real problem. We have a $52 million county budget, and I know to folks in Northern Virginia that doesn't sound like much, particularly Loudoun County, which has almost $1 billion operating budget for its county government. But for us, everything that impacts our local budget is critical. And just to give you I did a rough analysis on one of these proposed developments that we're saying 200 houses priced at $450,000 per house, which again, for folks from Nova, that's not a large amount of money, but for Madison County residents, most people can't afford that. The problem comes into what happens to our public services when we build those 200 houses and put an average number of people in it with an average number of school-age children. And I've consulted with emergency services, law enforcement, we've done an analysis, and even taking back the property tax and personal property tax that we would get for those folks who would move into those 200 houses, we would be at a $1 million deficit, public services versus the tax revenue we would get from them. That's a spillover cost that all of our residents would have to bear. Impact fees would be a tool that would permit us to mitigate those spillover costs. That developer for those 200 houses at a 15% profit margin, they're going to walk away with a $13.5 million profit, and they're going to leave the spillover cost to all the current and new citizens to the county. So this tool would be appreciated. It would be a way for us to mitigate those spillover costs, help us to plan better, and it would allow us to serve our citizens of our county. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this legislation?
Mr. Chairman, Andrew Clark with the Home Builders Association of Virginia completely agree that residential development should pay for itself and mitigate its impacts on infrastructure. We do that currently. We have cash proffers, and we've discussed that ad nauseum for the last couple of years. I heard the gentleman from Madison County talking about the housing costs being too high. Impact fees will make those higher. Many of the states that have imposed impact fees, from Maryland, California, states south of Virginia, are now repealing those and carving out certain types of projects because they've recognized that they've just layered process inefficiency cost and straight up fees on top of new housing units, and that's driven costs up. So, my friend from the Planners Association mentioned this long-going discussion. We're always happy to continue looking at how we pay for infrastructure, but at this time, there's been no substantive look at the magnitude of the impact of switching from proffers to an impact fee system. So we hope you oppose the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, TJ Spiker with the Realtors associate our remarks with the home builders. We also oppose the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate, we are back in front of the committee. Delegate Cohen.
I appreciate the patron of this bill bringing it in, and Mr. Chair, always a fan of giving localities more tools at their disposal. But speaking to the bill, if localities want to be able to utilize monies to do what they would like to with it, whether it's schools or roads, they have that functionality, and so they need to get some teeth and actually call on their developers to pay the proffers and increase those. They have this ability, and my frustration is that not using the tools you already have at your disposal why on earth would we layer another one in? And the truth is, it feels like that it is an excuse, to be honest, to say, hey, the state is making us do this, instead of taking responsibility for a proffer system that you've set up that isn't working for a lot of our communities in paying with schools and roads. So I so appreciate the intent of this, because I do want to help our localities, but this doesn't feel the right way today. So I'll be a no, respectfully, to the patron.
Thank you, Delegate. Delegate Shin.
I have a motion at the appropriate time, Mr. Chair.
Delegate Shin.
Mr. Chair, I move to pass by indefinitely.
There's been a motion. Second. With a second to pass this bill by indefinitely. This is a recorded vote. Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll?
Mr. Chair, because it's a motion to pass by indefinitely, we should just make sure that
Yes, there are two sides,
two sides.
2 minutes per side. So if anybody would like to have 2 minutes to talk about the bill.
I'd like to defer to my experts that I'm carrying this bill for, if you would.
Thank you.
Actually, just the delegate has the ability to, and members on the dais.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Just the delegate, the patron, and members
Okay,
have the ability to debate.
I'm sorry.
No problem.
You know, the theme of this session seems to be affordability. We're all looking for ways to save our constituents money. It seems to me that somebody is going to have to pay these fees, the cost of new development, the cost of infrastructure that's connected with that development. I would like to not pass that on to the taxpayer, and any tool that we have in our toolbox to relieve cost on the taxpayer is something we should utilize. I thank you for hearing this bill, and I hope you consider this as a way to make the lives of Virginians more affordable. Thank you.
Thank you, Delegate. Any additional comments from members of the subcommittee? Madam Clerk, can you please open the roll? Madam Clerk, can you please close roll? With a vote of 6-0, we have passed this House bill by indefinitely. Thank you so much, Delegate. All right, and before I pass the gavel on, we have a couple of House bills that we are going to pass by for the day. Get to them next meeting, and we're going to do those in a block. All right, these are House Bills 166, House Bills 226, House Bill 257, House Bill 277, House Bill 419, and House Bill 549.
And so move.
So move with
Move to pass by.
Yes. So to move with the second.
Second.
All right, to pass these House bills by for the day. And this is a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. So last on our docket, Madam Chair, I'll need to pass the gavel over. Is my House Bill 168.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, would you like to present from the dais, or would you like to go to the podium?
I'll go to the podium.
Okay. Mr. Chair, when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, before the committee today, I have before us HB 168, and I believe we have a substitute.
If someone would.
Move the substitute.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I believe it was either handed out or it can be found online, but the substitute basically requires any city with 400,000 plus people to elect its governing body by districts or wards with roughly equal populations starting after July 1st, 2026, which is, of course, many of the effective days of legislation we passed during the General Assembly session, and it specifies the mayor can still be elected at large. So you all may recall this is mainly directly, it's statewide, but mainly directly to our voting system in 10-1 in Virginia Beach. And it creates a clear statewide path for localities to convert one or more at-large seats to single-member districts through local ordinance. In terms of the kind of change Virginia Beach voters demanded with our recent 10-1 referendum into a clean framework in the general law and the code, it allows the locality's governing body to adopt an ordinance converting one or more at-large members to single-member districts. And the members in office, when the ordinance takes effect, complete their term before the new structure fully applies. It authorizes conversion to districts, as I stated previously, and empowers council boards to replace at-large seats with single-member districts by a transparent local vote, which we had this past November, and we're going to continue to have. The reason to support and why we've been pushing this so hard is that it respects the voters' mandates, the 10-1 mandate in the vote in Virginia Beach, where we saw overwhelmingly this past November, and offers a template for similar transitions across Virginia, not specifically and only to Virginia Beach. It's about fair rules of representation, which we've been fighting for a long time in Virginia Beach, and I hope it's the will of the body to pass this legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are there any questions from the members of the committee? Seeing none, are there folks in the audience who would like to speak in support of this bill? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I'm Brent McKenzie. I represent the city of Virginia Beach. We really want to thank Delegate Askey for his leadership on this issue. We've been dealing with this for a few years here in Virginia Beach, and we did have a voter referendum this past November that showed that the will of the people is that they want the 10-1 system. This will help us implement that and really help bring our community back together after years of division. So we hope you will support the legislation. Our Deputy City Attorney, Chris Boynton, is here with us today, too. If there are any questions or concerns, we can answer.
Thank you, Mr. McKenzie. Anyone else in the room? Is there anyone in the room who would like to speak against this bill? Okay, Madam Clerk, do we have anyone online for this one? Is there anyone on?
Anybody online? Nobody's. Madam Chair, I don't believe there's anybody online.
Great. Thank you. We're back before the committee, but Mr. Chair, I'm happy to offer you a final word if you'd like one.
No, as Brent stated, we've been fighting for the 10-1 system for a long time in Virginia Beach, and I truly believe it implements equal representation across Virginia, not only Virginia Beach, but across the Commonwealth, if any localities that may be dealing with similar situations. So,
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Delegate Simons.
I would like to move to report as substituted.
Second. I've got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, if you'd please open the roll and members cast your vote. Thank you, Madam Clerk. On a vote of 6-1, the bill reports with substitute. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to pass the gavel back off to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe your subcommittee is immediately following this. I appreciate everybody for their work today. Chair Helmer, would you like any final comments? Thank you, everybody, for coming today. I didn't think it was going to be quite this long, but we got a lot of substantive issues and work done. So with that, without any objection, this committee is adjourned.